all those little scary terms y'all like to use to try to throw people off and say
she's open borders, right?
And I'm not saying that I agree with that.
That is
but
what
there's
she
extreme
believes.
MAGA candidates too that run on way worse things.
Do you
than
call
this.
them out as well? And you
Yes,
usually
we
use
do.
them
And
as
guess what? They still
Democrats
get
for
elected.
that point.
The Democratic Socialist Party of America's critique is that the Democratic Party is
but the
not
thing
violent.
is,
you just made a statement about.
You have to realize those words don't scare people anymore. Is that saying socialist and saying
Jews, I'll say that, especially with the three that are moving forward.
Look, I'm gonna tell you my viewpoint as somebody who lives in Los Angeles, right?
So the three individuals that Mamdani endorsed won their primaries, and that was a clean sweep. And as a result of that, you now have Jason Rantz, aka Randall, the conservative pundit commentator, now trying to spew a whole load of slurs towards the Democratic Party and just trying to fearmonger people into not seeing what's actually happening in the United States. But that politics girl and Jamel Hill are just not having it. As usual, let's watch the clip in full. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts towards the end. Let's get into it.
Start with the two candidates that Zohran Mamdani endorsed. We're still waiting again for the fate of New York 13, which frankly is perhaps one of the more controversial of his endorsements. But if he were to get a clean sweep tonight, that message, what is the message that is being sent to national Democrats as a result of it?
Yeah, I think it's a reckoning. I think it's a wake-up call. I think people are trying to say over and over again that we're tired of how the game has been played. We've tried it your way. We've tried it with your consultants. We've tried it with you reaching across the aisle, and we're tired. And we want people who are looking out for the people, and that's what Mamdani represents. I think we're not going back. I think we have to really understand that this version of predatory capitalism has come to its fruition, and we're kind of all in this monopoly game where that one person has all the money and all the property on the table, and we're like, this isn't fun anymore. We have to try new rules to this game, and this is what we're being offered with the Democratic Socialist Party.
But Neera, do you think that, I mean, what then, right? Like, is democratic socialism really something that is exportable outside of New York? Let me just read this quote from John Fetterman, who's no fan of the socialists. He says to Manu Raju, the dirtbag left is surging. That's what he says is happening tonight in some of these primaries.
Well, I think it's hard to take advice from John Fetterman these days about where the Democratic Party is. I will note he had a lot of left support when he was running, and then turned his back on the left pretty quickly when he came into power. I think we should look across the board. There's also another important race in New York 17. It'll be Mike Lawler's seat. That is a seat that is really up for grabs. It's contesting a Republican seat. A woman won. Kate Conley has been declared in some places, and she is a former military leader and has served many times in across the oceans to protect Americans. And I think, she was facing a more progressive candidate, but people there were looking for a more moderate person to go up against a Republican. I think this is a healthy Democratic Party. In urban cores, like in New York City, places where there are a lot of liberal voices, people are hungry for change, and I think they are angry at some establishment figures that have left them down, but also where you need to put up competitive races and competitive candidates. Democratic primary voters are still selecting candidates who can best beat the Republican.
But they're pulling the brand leftward. I mean, the Democratic Party now is the Democratic Socialist Party of America. They're for anti-Semitism. They're for confiscation. They're against capitalism.
Come on, we're
this
for
is what's happening.
anti-Semitism.
This
That's
is what's
obscene.
happening.
That's
This
an
is what's
obscene
happening.
statement.
And you also can look tonight and see somebody else is a big loser. That's Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries is going to lose these races in New York where Zohran Mamdani
He didn't endorse in these races.
He did endorse. He endorsed Goldman. He endorsed his incumbent members of Congress. If he can't get the Hispanic caucus chairman across the line in a city where he's the leading figure of the political machine, then his stick is very short in the U.S. Capitol. And that's because Hakeem Jeffries himself, as liberal as he is not far left enough for today's Democratic primary voters.
It's not about being far left.
Also, he was fine in his race.
The Democratic Socialist Party of America's critique is that the Democratic Party is
but the
not
thing
far
is,
you just made a statement about.
You have to realize those words don't scare people anymore. Is that saying socialist and saying...
Jews, I'll say that, especially with the three that are moving forward.
Look, I'm going to tell you my viewpoint as somebody who lives in Los Angeles, right?
Okay.
A lot of people, and you know this too, you live in L.A., The number one thing they're saying is, why can't we have a Mamdani?
That's what they're saying.
And it's about energy. It's not really about some of the things you guys have named. They look at him doing things. They look at him sort of breaking the mold about and imagining things in a different way. And that's what has been missing from the Democratic Party is imagination. They don't have the imagination.
You don't win Congress in New
Guys,
York or LA. You win
let me
in
just hit
Pennsylvania
pause for a second because CNN has a projection. I'm going to go straight to John King over at the Mouth Wall.
And that projection, Abby, means that the mayor, Mamdani, does get a sweep of the 3 races in which he endorsed in Democratic primaries tonight. The Democratic Socialist candidate, Darializa Avila Chevalier, beating a powerful Democratic, long-standing Democratic incumbent, Adriano Espaillat. Much more narrow race than the other 2 districts here, but this is, again, this is a mayor making a statement. This is a candidate making a statement. You're having the conversation with your panel about we want new, we want different, and yes, we want more liberal. In this particular case, Espaillat is certainly a Democrat and a progressive, but this is part of the generational divide. We've also seen the Democratic Party. We want new, we want younger, but there's 1 for the mayor, there's 2 for the mayor, and there's 3 tonight. So the conversation is going to be, Abby, number 1, how much power does Zohran Mamdani have in New York City politics? Number 2, he's also making some enemies tonight, let's be honest. He's been mayor 6 months, and he's gone against 2 Democratic incumbents and the wishes of the retiring Democratic incumbent in the 3rd district there. But he's making a statement for the city, for the state, and he's also making a statement of where he thinks the Democratic Party should go nationally, both for the next 5 months and into 2028. So as you're discussing with your panel, can you export this? Can you sell what he wants to do in New York City, where his candidates clearly are winning tonight, where he won clearly, convincingly? Can you sell it? Well, he wants to be part of that debate, and tonight he's proving he gets a big role in it.
You know, this is a really important conversation because Zohran Mamdani, thank you, John King, Zohran Mamdani is, he took a big swing, right, as we were just discussing. And you don't take those kinds of swings unless you think you can win, and he did. And this last race that we just called, just 1 second, because I think this is super important. Darializa Avila Chevalier is one of the more controversial candidates. CNN earlier in the year reported that she had deleted previous Twitter posts expressing views for abolishing police, prisons, borders, seizing private property, nationalizing major industries, calling into question Israel's right to exist. She spoke to a friend of the show, Ested Herndon, in a recent interview, said that all deportations are immoral. So all of that being said, there she is defeating a Democratic incumbent, a powerful member of the Hispanic caucus, who's been there. The chairman. He's been there for a really long time. I mean, you could say that all of this is just controversial. She's a bad candidate, but she's likely to just be the congressperson. And does it not suggest, though, that people, the voters, looked at that and they were like, we don't really care about that. We care about all these other things?
I think that's the problem for the greater Democratic Party in this district or in these 3 districts. You have the ones who are the furthest to the left, who under no uncertain terms support open borders, do not support any deportation. And even in that podcast interview, I mean, she was given a follow-up of even if it's a murderer, even if it's a rapist, no, they shouldn't be deported. Republicans are very obviously going to take advantage of this, and it's going to hurt the Democrats nationwide. You could win in New York, you can win in Seattle, you can win in Portland and Los Angeles, but that's where you're going to win. And if we're able to define the Democrats who have tried to run away from this label of being socialist, being open borders, being, you know, pro-crime or anti-Israel, if that's the goal of the Democratic Party to run from that, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. But you forget one
important thing. People are broke. That's the other part you forget, is that the affordability crisis in this country, I think, is a major win for a lot of Democrats. It's like, again, all those little scary terms y'all like to use to try to throw people off and say...
She's open borders, right?
And I'm not saying that I agree with that. That is what there's extreme MAGA candidates, too, that run on way worse things than this.
Do you call them out as well? And you usually use them as Democrats
they still get
for
elected.
that point.
You know why? Because there is core things that still resonate with people, and all the scary terms aren't going to get them off of that. At the end of the day, if people are broke, they do not care.
In far-left districts where Republicans aren't running, like Republicans don't lose anything tonight in these districts, but they are going to be dealing with some of these far-left candidates in, say, Maine. I mean, to come up for Congressman Golden's position, you guys put someone very far to the left, and that's now going to go into the Republican camp. We're going to pick that seat up. When you're going
I don't
into
think
moderate,
you will, my friend. I think
will.
that's the
Well,
thing.
let me-
You guys keep putting out all these scary terms. No, we've heard all this anti-Semitism and
They're
we are evil
anti-Semites.
and we're
If you do
open
not
borders.
believe in
But
Israel's
listen,
right to
there's-
exist, that means you're an
that's not-
anti-Semite.
That's one candidate that you're talking about
There's
in the
three
entire
candidates.
country. No, listen,
that is the
you
part of
cannot
the
make it about a
Democratic
scary terms.
Socialist Party.
There
It's
are
not a
people
scary
struggling
term.
in this country, and we need representatives that don't just represent the
Could you
donors
find
and the
one?
lobby groups and the billionaires. Mamdani is showing us that you can deliver. It is possible
you
to
find
run
any
and
who
keep your
don't
promises. I would
hold
love to talk
anti-Semitic
without you
views?
talking over me the entire time.
Yeah. And that's how
Brad Lambert.
Yes, and he's also out there saying that he's going to align himself with the folks that do not believe in Israel's right to
Look,
exist.
I
Brad
mean,
Lander.
That is a
I
problem.
just,
But if
I
you
just
wanna throw
answered
that-
your
It's an
question.
anti-Semitic
in terms
If you
of-
want to throw that lob, I'd say
Just-
find me an
just
extreme
answer that
MAGA,
question.
extreme
not
MAGA
saying
politician
that
that's not
he's really
bigoted.
But
I would say the same
hold on.
thing.
What about what about what Jamel is saying? I mean, isn't the story of the last 10 years of politics, especially in this Trump era, that there are, even in the Republican tent, plenty of people to the far right that have been welcomed into the tent, and maybe they're toxic, maybe they're controversial, but they still get elected in their ruby red districts. It just seems like a parallel thing is starting to happen on the Democratic side. And part of what's happening is that Democrats are actually learning from what Republicans did.
I don't think
over
they're
the
learning.
last 10
I don't really
years.
think they are learning. I mean, I think if you look back, this happened to us. In 2010 and 2012, you can look at candidates like Sharon Angle and Richard Murdoch and Todd Akin. We left a lot of Senate seats and House seats on the table because we did things that made the most radical people in our party happy. And you guys are celebrating, oh, we're taking our party back. We're finally sending a message. It's a message that swing voters are going to be scared of. Congresswoman Chevalier, Congresswoman-elect Chevalier, I'd like to invite her to come campaign in any of the districts where I'm working with candidates this year. She would be welcome. We might pay her travel expenses. I would like her to be an ambassador of the Democratic Party.
But she's not an ambassador of the Democratic
Sure
Party.
she
man.
is. She
Of
just,
course she
just
is.
won tonight. You just said that.
she
You
is.
just,
No,
you-
she's not.
But I'm sorry, but
No,
aren't you
she's not.
celebrating the unity that she's bringing to the base of the Democratic Party? You're saying that she's energizing everyone,
No,
and we're going to
saying-
point that
I
out.
think we started
she is
this by
energizing
talking. I
the
think
base
we
of the
started
extremists
this
in your
by
party.
saying her race was the closest, that Mamdani was the thing that we were celebrating, and Mamdani is showing that
Who
politicians can.
handpicked extremists.
Again, I'm speaking, and you keep
Hold on.
talking over me. I would love to
It's a
finish your
debate
point.
show.
Okay, hold on a second. Just finish your point, and then you can respond.
My point is, we were talking about Mamdani. Mamdani, in 6 months, has shown what the Democrats have not been able to show in years. That you can say you're going to get something done, and then you can get it done. That you can look out for the people, and you can actually deliver for them. That if you don't answer to the billionaire class, and you don't answer to a lobby group, and you don't answer to your donors, then you can actually keep looking out for the people. And that's why when we're talking about John saying, you know, is this Mamdani's idea? This is what a lot of us in the country want. We want politicians that answer to us, that look out for us, that represent us.
Madami said
All
he
right,
wants to
hold on.
seize the means of production.
let me
he says he wants
He
to
does
fix
not
your-
say he wants.
He
You
said
have been
that.
throwing
He actually
socialism
said it.
around since
He
the
actually
40s
said
like
that.
a scary
He actually
word that
said
we're
it.
all supposed
So
to
he said
glorify.
that. That's
as
a quote from
promised.
him.
Jason, respond to that, and also square it with the fact that Trump said all those things about Mamdani, but you know he's cool with him now. He had him at the White House. They're working together on issues on housing. I don't know. Trump doesn't seem to be sort of following through on his pledge to use Mamdani against the Democrats. He seems to be wanting to walk hand in hand.
But you don't think that Republicans are going to use this, including Donald Trump, once we get closer to
I'm
the
just
midterms?
wondering
I mean,
how
we're
effective
obviously,
that's going to be.
I think it's going to be very
president
effective because these
is
are
effectively clasping hands with Mamdani, and they're walking into the future of
Well,
New
is
York City
Mamdani
together.
clasping hands with Donald Trump? I mean, I think it goes a little bit both ways,
Yeah.
where they're trying to say, we can work together, especially in New York. And New York is a special case, obviously, for the president. But the bigger picture issue for the party is more damaging. You can win these races in New York. You're not going to win them elsewhere.
I
That's
disagree.
just
You can't say
but you're
Mamdani
not.
is a
I guess-
beacon to
and
show
look, that
Democrats
you
how to
want,
win
but
and then
that
say
might-
we
I think
can't
that
take the
actually
socialism to other places.
is true, right? You can win them in New York, but these candidates may not be exportable to other parts of the country.
They will pull the
so
brand
you kinda,
left.
Well, I mean, I think those are two separate things.
They will
You're
pull
saying
it
that
left.
everybody gets tainted by it.
Other
There is a
incumbents will be
scenario in
scared.
which Democrats actually run the right candidates in the right places.
Yes,
That-
I mean,
that is
can I
also
just
a
say,
scenario.
democracy
can I
is
just
supposed
say
to be.
this whole issue of 2010 and 2012, you're absolutely right. Republicans took very competitive races and they put very extreme candidates in. And I think that is not what's happening in the Democratic Party today. What you saw today is in the most liberal parts of America, they found very liberal candidates. And, you know, those people should represent, they should get the representatives they want. But as I pointed out, in competitive districts and states, they were nominating, Democrats were nominating sometimes more moderate candidates. Josh Turek just won in Iowa against a more progressive candidate, a great candidate, more progressive candidate, but people believed he has a better chance of defeating Ashley Hinson. And I think that we also saw that today in New York 17. So, and that's a healthy party.
Not in northern Maine, not Graham Plattner, not in California against David Valadao. We are seeing, and how do we know? Because the House Democrats have been spending money to try to stop these people from winning.
So, okay, this is the setup, right, for the fall in 2028. We'll see what happens in all of those races. Next for us.
So let me just give a bit of my perspective when it comes to this. Now, one of the things that we often see on the right, and especially on the far right, is fearmongering. And this is how you know. This is how you know when you're onto something and you're on the right path. These people will spend their time trying to call you slurs, simply because of the fact that, in my opinion, the people that are winning across the United States, things are going in the right direction. I'm going to be real with you. And the reason why I say that is because even right here in the United Kingdom, we need almost like a revolution, like what's happening. What Mamdani has shown in 6 months of being in office is needed all across the world. We are sick and tired of these establishment politicians that have been around for a very long time, and they've proven to get absolutely nothing done. And these smears of calling people an anti-Semite and anti-Semitic when they're not anti-Semitic and they're not anti-Semites, it's boring. It doesn't work anymore. And you know what's funny? Republicans are the ones that started this when they used to say being called a racist, it doesn't work anymore. Well, that slur just randomly, just because you believe that what Israel are doing in Gaza is a genocide, that doesn't mean you're an anti-Semite or you're anti-Semitic. And that's what it is that these guys try to do. They try to label you as an anti-Semite just because of the fact that you believe that what Israel are doing in Gaza is wrong. But it is. And the most important thing, and I don't think Randall, aka Jason Rantz, and the other gentleman, I don't think they actually understand. People are sick and tired to the back teeth of what's happening within the United States. As Tupac says, they've got money for war, but they've got no money to feed the poor. Healthcare is in an absolute ridiculous state right now. Homelessness in a ridiculous state right now. People can't even put food on the table, can't buy groceries, and are struggling to put gas in their car. But you've got an individual who's in the White House who's spending billions upon billions of dollars for war, a war in which none of his military objectives have been met. People are sick and tired of it. And also, let's not forget, if you look at polling right now around the world, not just the United States, Israel has never been as unpopular as it is right now. So you can say anti-Semitic, anti-Semite, all those things, and you can say swing voters aren't going to like what they're going to see. But guess what? I can guarantee swing voters right now, their focus is what's happening in the United States of America. And when you are seeing politicians whose primary focus is the United States of America, not a foreign land that are committing a genocide, you will see that they are going to be interested in these people who are winning these primaries. And I end it on this last point. Republicans need to understand one thing. This is the playbook they set up. They set the pace here. This started with them putting someone in a position of power, aka Donald Trump, who was extreme, who was racist, who was a bigot, and who went completely against the norms of what it meant to be a politician. They started this. And guess what? Their response is always, people were just sick and tired of everything. So now they're willing to put certain things to a side. Well, guess what? That's what's happening now within the Democrat Party. You see it with Graham Plattner. People are sick and tired of what it is that they're seeing, and they're willing to put things to a side. You see it with Mamdani's 3 picks today. People are willing to put things to the side and focus on getting things done in the United States of America. Let me know your guys' thoughts below.